The text arrived at precisely 7:43 a.m. Family meeting tonight. Non-negotiable. We need to discuss your situation. Dinner at 6. Don't be late. Mom. I stared at my phone screen in my real office. The entire 47th floor of the Apex Tower. Not the shabby co-working space my family thought I operated from. The wall of windows offered a panoramic view of the city skyline. A view I'd earned but never bragged about. Another intervention? Michael, my COO, asked from the doorway. He'd been with me since the beginning. One of the few who knew the full story. Apparently, my situation requires immediate family attention, I replied, making air quotes. They're probably worried about my mental health after seeing my ancient Toyota in their driveway last weekend. Michael laughed, then turned serious. You know, the Bloomberg piece is scheduled for tonight. Are you sure you want to be at your parents' house when it breaks? I smiled, straightening the simple black blazer I'd deliberately chosen for today. Actually, I can't think of a better place to be. The last 2 years had been an elaborate performance. While my family thought I was struggling with a failing startup, I'd built Neurotech into a technological powerhouse. Our AI systems were revolutionizing everything from healthcare to space exploration. Major tech companies were our clients, though they didn't know the founder's identity. I'd kept my name out of everything, operating through layers of corporations and trusted proxies. My phone buzzed again. This time, it was my sister Elizabeth. Mom's worried sick about you. That apartment in the bad part of town. The clearance rack clothes. Please tell me you'll let us help you get back on track. If only they knew that I owned the entire bad apartment building, or that my clearance rack outfit today was actually hand-tailored Italian wool, deliberately distressed to look cheap. The deception had started as self-protection and evolved into an elaborate experiment. How long could I build an empire while my family thought I was failing? I arrived at my parents' Tudor mansion at 5:58 p.m. The circular driveway displayed the usual lineup of luxury vehicles. Dad's Mercedes, Mom's Range Rover, Elizabeth's Porsche, and my brother James's Tesla. My Toyota looked comically out of place, exactly as intended. The housekeeper opened the door before I could knock. "They're in the living room, Miss Sarah," she whispered, giving me a sympathetic look. "Your mother's been preparing all day." I could imagine. Mom's preparations usually involved color-coded folders of job listings and testimonials from her friends' children about the joys of corporate life. The living room was set up like an intervention. Mom perched on her favorite armchair, designer outfit perfectly pressed. Dad stood by the fireplace in his power pose, the same one he used in corporate boardrooms. Elizabeth and her husband Richard sat on one sofa, while James and his wife Margaret occupied the other. The TV mounted above the fireplace was tuned to Bloomberg, providing background noise. "Sarah, darling." Mom rose to air-kiss my cheek. "You look comfortable." Translation: "You look poor." "Thanks, Mom." This blazer was a great find at the thrift store. Elizabeth nearly choked on her wine. Dad cleared his throat. "Sarah, we've asked you here because we're concerned. It's been 2 years since you left your position at Goldman Sachs." "A managing director position," Mom interjected, "to pursue this startup idea. We've been patient, supportive." I bit back a laugh. Their version of support had been weekly emails about job openings and constant reminders about the benefits of real employment. "Your mother, and I think it's time to discuss next steps," Dad continued. "Moving forward, perhaps considering a return to banking," Elizabeth supplied helpfully. Marcus at Goldman still asks about you. Or consulting, James added. My firm is always looking for. I'm doing fine, I interrupted. Fine. Mom's voice rose. Living in that tiny apartment. Such a waste of your potential. Harvard MBA, top of your class. And now what? Some mysterious tech project you won't even explain properly. The TV behind them caught my attention. The Bloomberg logo flashed, and I checked my watch. 6:30 p.m. Right on schedule. Breaking news, the anchor announced. The tech world's biggest mystery is about to be solved. The founder of Neurotech, whose identity has been the subject of intense speculation, will be revealed tonight. Sources value the company at $5.2 billion. My family barely noticed the broadcast, too busy listing my failures. Sarah, Richard, Elizabeth's husband, leaned forward with his best mansplaining expression. I've looked into the tech sector. It's oversaturated. Without serious capital. SOURCEACONFIRM. The TV blared. NEURATCFOUNDERCARABENET. The room froze. 6 heads whipped toward the screen, where my professional headshot now filled the display. The 29-year-old HARVARDGURADUATE has BUILT, the most INNOVATEAI he owned PANY in Silicon Valley. OPE rating incomplete SECREC for 2 years. Mom's wine glass slipped from her fingers, staining the Persian carpet. Dad's mouth opened and closed without sound. Elizabeth grabbed her phone, frantically Googling. Oh my God, she whispered. Oh my God. James stood up so fast, he knocked over a lamp. This has to be a mistake. Sarah's company is. She works in a co-working space. She drives a Toyota. I pulled out my phone as it started buzzing with notifications. Actually, I own the building that houses that co-working space, and several others. The Toyota is just practical. Why waste money on flashy cars when you can invest in appreciating assets? 5 billion, Dad stammered. 0.2, I corrected. Though that valuation is from last month, it's probably higher now. Margaret, who'd been scrolling on her tablet, looked up with wide eyes. The Forbes 30 Under 30 list just updated. You're number 1. Sarah. Mom finally found her voice. Why didn't you tell us? I stood up, smoothing my deliberately shabby blazer. You never asked. You were too busy telling me what I was doing wrong to notice what I was doing right. My phone buzzed again. Michael with an urgent update about our latest acquisition. I have to take this. But before I go, I reached into my bag and pulled out 6 manila envelopes, dropping them on the coffee table. These are NDAs. If you want to know what Neurotech actually does, you'll need to sign them. Standard procedure for anyone who wants to discuss the company with me. NDAs. Richard scoffed. For family? Especially for family. After all, I smiled sweetly. I learned about protecting assets from the best. Right, Dad? The Bloomberg anchor was still talking. Revolutionary AI technology. Major contracts with NASA, Google, and Apple. The most successful stealth startup in history. Oh, I paused at the door. And Mom? About that tiny apartment. I own the building. All 50 floors of it. The penthouse is quite nice, but I prefer to keep things simple. It helps me focus on what really matters. I left them there, surrounded by their luxury brands and shattered assumptions, while the TV continued to announce my success to the world. Sometimes the best revenge isn't proving people wrong. It's letting them discover just how wrong they've been all along. And this was just the beginning. The morning after the Bloomberg reveal was chaos incarnate. My phone had 312 missed calls, 1,547 text messages, and enough emails to crash a lesser server. The family group chat, usually reserved for holiday planning and passive-aggressive commentary about my life choices, had exploded. I sat in my actual home office, not the modest apartment they'd visited, but the 3-story penthouse occupying the crown of one of the city's most exclusive buildings. Floor-to-ceiling windows offered a view of the sunrise over the harbor, while multiple screens displayed real-time data from Neurotech operations worldwide. Michael arrived at 7 a.m. sharp, carrying 2 cups of artisanal coffee and a tablet full of updates. Your cousin Trevor, the one who called your startup a cute hobby at Thanksgiving, has tried to connect on LinkedIn 15 times since midnight, he reported, fighting a smile. And your brother's wife, Margaret, has suddenly updated her profile to mention she's your sister-in-law. I sipped my coffee, scanning global market reactions. What's the media situation? Unprecedented. Wall Street Journal wants an exclusive. Time magazine is offering a cover story. TED wants you to keynote. The White House called. Apparently, the president is interested in our AI security protocols. He paused. Oh, and your father's company stock dropped 8% this morning. That detail made me look up. Bennett Global, Dad's pride and joy, had been struggling to adapt to the digital revolution. I'd offered to help 18 months ago, presenting a detailed digital transformation strategy. He dismissed it as trendy tech nonsense and suggested I focus on real business fundamentals. My phone lit up with Mom's face. This time, I answered. Darling, her voice dripped honey. We're hosting an emergency family brunch. The board members will be there. Your father thinks. Can't. Flying to Dubai in 2 hours. Meeting with sovereign wealth funds. But this is crucial. The family's reputation. Mom, I'm about to announce a $2 billion acquisition. Whatever Dad's thinking will have to wait. Silence. Then, $2 billion? Give my regrets to the board. And tell Dad he might want to look into his company's cybersecurity. The vulnerabilities I noticed last year, they're worse now. After hanging up, I turned to Michael. How's Operation Phoenix progressing? He grinned, pulling up a secure file. Right on schedule. Your family has no idea we've been systematically acquiring Bennett Global shares through various shell companies. We're at 34% ownership. Make it 40% by month's end. I stood straightening my now designer suit. Time to show them what trendy tech nonsense can do. The next few days were a whirlwind of strategic moves and damage control. Elizabeth sent hourly texts, alternating between apologies and business proposals. James tried to schedule meetings through every connection he had. Dad's executive assistant called every 15 minutes. Then came the announcement that shook the family foundation to its core. I was in Singapore, finalizing details with our newest quantum computing division, when the news broke. Neurotech had developed an AI-driven industrial automation system that could revolutionize traditional manufacturing, exactly what Bennett Global desperately needed to remain competitive. My phone rang. Dad. Sarah. His voice was strained. The board is meeting tomorrow. Our stock has dropped 15% since your reveal. Major investors are questioning why we didn't partner with you when we had the chance. They're calling for new leadership. I know. You know? Dad, check your latest shareholder report. The detailed version this time. Papers rustled, followed by a sharp intake of breath. 40%. But how? When? Remember when you said I needed to learn about real business fundamentals? I learned very thoroughly. What do you want? Tomorrow's board meeting. I'll be there. And Dad? Wear your best suit. CNBC will be covering it. I ended the call and gazed out over the Singapore skyline. Michael appeared with fresh intelligence. Your mother's called every PR firm in New York, trying to control the narrative. Elizabeth's husband is quietly shopping his resume. And that trust fund cousin who mocked your little computer project at Christmas? He's asking if we're accepting applications. I smiled, adjusting my Cartier watch, the one I'd bought, but never worn to family functions. Schedule a family dinner for next week. My treat. Book the private room at that restaurant they could never get into. The 3-star Michelin one? No, the one I acquired last quarter. The pieces were falling perfectly into place. I'd spent 2 years being underestimated, dismissed, and pitied. Now it was time to show them exactly what happens when you mistake patience for strategy. But first, I had other matters to attend to. My phone buzzed with a message from our Tokyo office. The quantum computing breakthrough was ready for testing. Another from our Berlin team. The neural interface prototype had exceeded expectations. And a third from our secret facility in Nevada. Project Prometheus was ahead of schedule. Michael, I called as he headed for the door. One more thing. That list of companies Dad rejected partnership offers from over the past 5 years. Yes. Buy them. All of them. He raised an eyebrow. That's 13 companies across 4 continents. 14, actually. I found another one this morning. I turned back to the window, watching the sun rise over a city that had no idea what was coming. It's time to show them what empire building really looks like. The real game wasn't just about proving them wrong anymore. It was about reshaping the entire playing field. And I was just getting started. The morning of the Bennett Global Board meeting dawned with a certain poetic tension. I arrived in my custom Rolls-Royce Phantom, no more playing modest. The security guard who'd once directed me to visitor parking now scrambled to open the executive gate. Ms. Bennett. We weren't expecting. Yes, you were. I handed him a folder. Your new security protocols. Effective immediately. Neuratech's AI systems detected 7 vulnerabilities in your current setup. The lobby of Bennett Tower was chaos. Reporters clustered outside, held back by security. CNBC had set up a live feed. The stock ticker above the reception desk showed Bennett Global's shares continuing their downward spiral. My heels clicked against marble as I crossed to the private elevator. The one I'd been told countless times was for executive use only. The same elevator where, 2 years ago, Dad had suggested I take some time to reconsider my priorities. Elizabeth intercepted me at the 50th floor. Her Channel suit couldn't hide her nervousness. Sarah, please, can we talk? The family's in crisis. Mom hasn't slept in days. And Dad is about to learn the difference between legacy and innovation. I checked my watch. A rare Patek Philippe that cost more than the car she bragged about at last year's Christmas dinner. The board meeting starts in 20 minutes. I suggest you prepare yourself. Prepare? For what? For the future. The executive floor was a hive of anxious energy. Board members huddled in corners, whispering urgently. Dad's longtime allies avoided eye contact. My brother James stood by the coffee machine, manically refreshing his phone's stock app. Mom appeared, perfect as always except for the worry lines around her eyes. Darling, whatever you're planning is already done. I nodded to Michael, who'd materialized with a team of lawyers. The paperwork was filed this morning. The boardroom fell silent as I entered. 24 pairs of eyes watched me take my seat, not in the guest chair where I'd sat during my failed pitch 2 years ago, but at the head of the table, Dad's chair. This meeting will come to order, the board chairman announced, his voice shaking slightly. We're here to discuss the future of Bennett Global, I interrupted, opening my laptop. The room's screens came alive with my presentation. Or more accurately, its survival. I stood, commanding the room just as Dad had taught me, though never expecting I'd use these lessons against him. In the past week, Bennett Global's stock has dropped 23%. Market confidence is at an all-time low. Your technological infrastructure is obsolete. Your market share is eroding, and your competitors are evolving while you stagnate. Dad's face reddened. Now see here. Your AI initiatives have failed. Your digital transformation is years behind schedule. Enter cybersecurity. I clicked to the next slide, showing a real-time visualization of their network vulnerabilities. Well, let's just say it's fortunate that Neurotech discovered these weaknesses before someone less friendly did. The board members shifted uncomfortably. They'd seen the numbers. They knew the truth. However, I continued, there is a solution. Neurotech is prepared to offer a complete technological overhaul. Our AI systems, our quantum computing platform, our neural interface technology, all of it, will modernize every aspect of Bennett Global's operations. Hope flickered across several faces. Then I delivered the knockout blow. As of this morning, Neurotech owns 51% of Bennett Global's shares. This isn't an offer, it's a notification. The merger paperwork has been filed. The press release goes out in 5 minutes. The room exploded. Dad slumped in his chair. Mom gasped. James dropped his phone. You can't do this. One board member shouted. This is hostile. This is business, I corrected. Something this family taught me very well. The shareholders will be pleased. Our stock is up 12% in pre-market trading just on merger rumors. I clicked to the final slide. The restructuring begins immediately. New board, new management, new direction. I turned to my father. You always said Bennett Global would be my inheritance someday. I just decided not to wait. The next hour was a blur of signatures, legal documents, and shell-shocked expressions. By noon, I was CEO of both Neurotech and Bennett Global. The empire I'd built had just doubled in size. As the board members filed out, I finally turned to my family. Now, about dinner tonight. Dinner? Elizabeth looked dazed. How can you think about dinner? Because I own the restaurant, and the building it's in, and most of this block, actually. I smiled. I thought it would be a good place to discuss the future of our family enterprises. All of them. Mom stepped forward. Sarah, why didn't you just tell us? All this deception, this elaborate game. Would you have listened? 2 years ago, I tried to tell you about AI's potential, about the future of technology. You all laughed, called it my little hobby. Well, my little hobby just reshaped the entire industry. I gathered my things, ready to head to my first press conference as CEO of the merged companies. Dinner's at 8. Don't be late. And dress appropriately. Forbes wants family photos for next month's cover story. As I walked out, Dad called after me. When did you become so Ruthless. I turned back one last time. I learned from the best, Dad. You taught me that business is business. I just played the game better than you expected. The elevator doors closed on their stunned faces. My phone buzzed. Both companies' stocks were soaring. Michael appeared with my schedule. The family dinner tonight, he said. Should I arrange security? No need, I smiled. Just make sure the photographers get my good side. After all, this is what a modern empire looks like. The sun was setting over the city as my car pulled away from Bennett Tower. My tower now. In the rearview mirror, I could see my family standing at the window, watching me leave. But this time, I wasn't driving away in a Toyota. This time, I was driving toward the future I'd built in a car that cost more than their annual bonuses combined. Sometimes the best revenge isn't just success. It's succeeding so spectacularly that those who doubted you have no choice but to acknowledge your victory. And as for my situation that had so worried them, well, some situations turn out better than anyone could have imagined.